Hello everyone. Today I got three more fantastic horror books, and all three of these books are better than their summaries. Let's put it that way. Like, you read the description of a book and you go, yeah, I like that, I can get into that. But then you read it and there is so much more than what can be contained on the back of a book cover, you know. All three of these have some great surprises and I absolutely love them. And as a reminder, I have horror books for sale, and if you want to read any of the books you see on your screen, there is a link in the description. Check out my Patreon page if you want to join me over there, see what kind of exclusive you can get. There's only one tier, so be sure to check that out and pick up your Read More Horror t-shirt. It'll look good on you, and there's many colors and sizes available, and there's a link down below for that as well. All right, let's get started. So the first book I want to talk about today is called Diablo. At first I thought this was a historical horror novel based on the cover. It looks like it might be one of those, and I've read a really good historical horror fiction in the past. But no, this one is set in modern times, cell phones, computers, and everything. And it's about an American family from Ohio, or the good old Midwest, and they decide to take a family vacation to a small town in Italy, staying at this big villa. Now, this book works on a couple different ways, because the family, first of all, is hugely dysfunctional in that Midwestern way that you might be familiar with if you know anybody from the Midwest, or if you yourself are from there. It's very passive aggressive. There's Anna, our main protagonist. She is the black sheep of the family. She is always being blamed for the problems this family has. There's her sister, her sister's husband, her two nieces who are aged 5 and 8. Her twin brother Benny is there, and Benny decided to bring along his new boyfriend to this family vacation. And then of course there's mom and dad, typical suburban family. And of course the mom and dad, they just want everybody together to have a nice happy family vacation in Italy and enjoy themselves. But of course this family is not going to do that, because they have issues, and they are very vocal about those issues, like I said, in that passive aggressive way that Midwesterners are known for, and that causes a great amount of tension in this book. But let's not also forget that this villa is haunted by something very terrifying. And it starts out like a typical haunted house book, kind of. Doors opening and slamming shut, items going missing and being put in different places, people catching shadows out of the corners of their eyes sometimes, which is all very effective to bring the creep factor in. But as this family starts to kind of implode on themselves while forcing themselves to have this family vacation, staying in the same villa, the hauntings get worse and worse and worse. There's a door there they unlock, which they were not supposed to unlock. You'll read about that, but that unleashes a certain kind of hell upon this family. Yeah, things are going to get very violent. This is a very violent, malevolent spirit, and it's not going to end once they leave. And you'll read about that too, because something else happens, and I don't want to give too much away, but whew, this thing is good. I absolutely love this book. The family dysfunction, that kind of tension works well with this haunting that gets worse and worse, and family secrets are going to be revealed, which makes it seem even more terrifying, you know. Yeah, I highly recommend it, and there's a link down below where you can pick up your copy through Amazon. And next we have Bless Your Heart. Now, when I first saw this cover, I thought we were dealing with maybe a horror comedy, like a Southern Gothic kind of deal with vampires, perhaps. Something a little lighter than I'm used to. But no, yeah, don't let that fool you, man. This book is dark. It is bloody. It is gory. It's going to take you to places you probably never read about before in a horror book, perhaps. But this is about a small Texas town, and there's a funeral home that for generations has been run by the females of a certain family. So it gets passed down from these females from generation to generation. And because they're in a small Texas town during this time period, folks get along with them, but they kind of get side-eyed a lot, and they're kind of ostracized from the general population. Niceties are fine, but to really get close to these ladies, nobody really wants to. But that's okay with them. They perform their job well. They are the only funeral home in town, so people have to come to them to bury their loved ones, and they do a great job trying to give them comfort when that happens. But there's also a secret, because their real mission, besides running this funeral home, is that they know that the dead do not sometimes stay dead. And they are committed to re-killing the ones that will not stay dead. Now, there's a history behind these creatures. They are not quite zombies and not quite vampires, but they're somewhere in between. They're basically just ghouls. And when they rise, they want to eat and feast on human flesh. And the more they eat, the more powerful they get. And if they eat enough, they can actually appear, their body starts healing and changing, and they can start appearing normal like any other human being. So they can be deceptive about it. But at this particular time, there's an outbreak of these things going on, and the ladies cannot figure it out. There are going to be a lot of gruesome murders that these creatures perform throughout this book, and the deputy is running around knowing that some of these things are impossible, what he's witnessing, what he's seeing. He doesn't understand what's going on. These ladies do, but they're not ready to give up their secrets. And right in the middle of this is the youngest one. It's her great-grandmother, her grandmother, and her mother that are now running this funeral home. And she knows they run the funeral home, but she has no idea about these creatures or why they're monster hunters, basically. She has no idea, but she's going to get a crash course when she witnesses one of these rising on a gurney. And, yep, learn by doing. And if you got to re-kill somebody who looks like somebody you already knew, maybe a friend, well, it's got to be done. And this teenage girl might be the key to why this is happening so much right now in this town. And it's just great. There are other secrets that are going on there that are going to be revealed, of course. And we'll find out something that happened in the past with some of these family members and how they think history could be repeating itself. And if it does, the entire town might be in very, very grave danger. Yeah, I absolutely love this one. Like I said, it is dark and bloody and gory, much more than I thought it was going to be, but I'm all right with that. It's absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it, and there's a link down below where you can pick up your copy through Amazon. And next we have They Come From the Water. This is a novella that came out, I believe, a couple years ago. Oh, but man, again, a small town by a lake, a cult-like group of people, and this book is going to switch course at some point and become something you did not expect when you started reading. This is about two sisters who go to this community to clean out their grandparents' house. They did not get along well with their grandparents. They had no contact or communication with their grandparents. But the thing is, their grandparents were horrifically butchered in that house by their mother, and then their mother committed suicide, and nobody knows why. Just left that big secret hanging and put it kind of on the shoulders of these two sisters. And they just want to spend the weekend, clean out the murder scene now that it's been released, and get out of Dodge and sell the house and put it all behind them as much as they can. And they're going to meet some of the people from that community who seem to have really loved their grandparents. But this group is a little odd. They're a little different. They accept the two sisters. Now, at first, these neighbors are not really malicious toward them or anything, but they are a little weird. They kind of act kind of strange, and as the girls spend the weekend there, they see things that confuse them. This homeowners association kind of group seems to act more like a cult. They hum, they get naked and go in the water and do a ritual to the moon and things, and it freaks them out a little bit, as it should. But at the end of this book is where it really, this book is going to change from what you think you're reading, and it's going to turn into something else at the end, which is just fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Because as we get further into this book, we're going to find out exactly what's going on with this group. We're going to find out what they're about, and then this book is going to turn into a full-blown creature feature. And it's just great when that happens. Things are going to get ooey, they're going to get gooey, they're going to get bloody, and all that good stuff. And this book has a perfect setup, I think. You know, you got the brutal, horrifying murder, suicide of their family. You got the small town. You got the cult-like homeowners association. And then it just turns into this full-blown creature feature. There's even a ghost in there at one point. You got to read about that because that's going to be important. It's just great. I absolutely love books that can take a certain premise and then just go full-blown wild with it. And that's what this one did. Absolutely loved it. Highly recommend it. And again, you can pick up your copy in the description. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.